Guitar Villains is brought to you by American Musical Supply. Just visit americanmusical.com for your unique coupon code. This is just for listeners of Guitar Villains. Anything you need, whether it's picks, guitar strings, cables, a capo, all those small little accessories, all the way up to the big stuff like a new guitar, an amp, all the gear you could ever want is at American Musical Supply. They also have no interest financing, so you can play now, pay later. Use the link in the description for your coupon code to use on your next gear purchase. Thanks to American Musical Supply for sponsoring Guitar Villains. Now let's get to the show. Hello and welcome to Guitar Villains, and we have a very special guest, the unmistakably awesome Lari Basilio. Lari's one of those guitarists that you can recognize just by one note that she plays. Usually it's one of her insane bends that comes out of seemingly nowhere. She has such an amazing feel, melodic sense, obviously chops for days. I've had the honor of having Lari play a guest guitar solo on a song from my most recent EP. You can check out the link in the show notes if you'd like to listen to that song. And of course, check out all of Lari's amazing work. Without further ado, let's get into it. Guitar Villains, Lari Basilio. Hello and welcome to Guitar Villains, the show where we deconstruct and decode the guitar. And Lari, this is actually the first time we've got to chat not via email. So this is a big moment for us. We've been in touch since like mid 2017 or something like that. I asked you to take part in a huge collaboration with like as many awesome guitar players as I could get. And I think I called it All the Best Guitar Players in the World and Me have an epic jam, something like that. But I think the consensus was that you stole the show and everyone seemed to love your solo the best. So congratulations on that.
Oh man, I'm just honored. I felt so honored for you to have invited me to be part of it. It was such an amazing moment for the guitar. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh,
again and here.
Yeah.
It's so awesome to finally get to chat with you. It's awesome.
Of course. Well, we do things a little bit differently on this show. We're gonna play some games. I'm gonna try to figure out what makes you tick as a musician, and hopefully you'll have a good time. And maybe the next time you're in Nashville where I live, or maybe we find ourselves at a NAMM show sometime soon, maybe we can do this again in person.
Absolutely. I look forward to this day for sure.
Great. So the show is called Guitar Villains because I think villains are cooler, more interesting than heroes. I've always found the characters are a little more memorable. And the first thing I want to ask you is, out of all the movie or comic book villains, who would you say you identify with the most, if any of them? And this doesn't have to be their evil ways. It could be something as simple as their characteristics, the way they look, anything like that. Is there anybody who jumps to mind?
You know, being honest, I try to think.
It's a weird question, I know.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't.
That's okay. I have the perfect villain for you already, so no problem.
Awesome.
I think you are strikingly similar to Poison Ivy from Batman. Now, she has a lot of abilities going for her, and I'll outline a few notable ones we can convey into the guitar world. First of all, she has super agility, which this is a particular affinity for scaling walls going up and down walls. And Lari, you can certainly, I would say, climb across the fretboard with great agility. And that's ability number one. Now, a surface level characteristic of Poison Ivy's character is her appearance, and mainly her bright fluorescent nail colors and lipstick colors, which, I know this doesn't have to do with guitar, but I feel like the color palette with your nails and in your lipstick and the guitars and the lights behind you, the whole aesthetic that you have going on, I feel like is very intentional. And as somebody who also shoots video a lot and has to wonder what I'm looking like on the camera, I appreciate that. Maybe Poison Ivy's greatest power is her genius level intellect, where she's actually a world-class botanist and a brilliant biochemist. And she even uses these talents to communicate with plant life and manipulate them to her will. And when it comes to guitar, you seem to know literally everything, from scales to techniques and ability to improvise with the best of them. So I think Poison Ivy could be your supervillain doppelganger.
Yeah, I love that. I like it. I agree. I love the relation with the color and the lipstick and the nails. I love it. I'm not sure if I can agree with you 100% about the ability, the
oh, you're just being modest.
But
yeah, you're super intellect.
I'm always trying.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you like that pick. So first things first, I want to throw a couple softball lobs for you. I call this segment Burning Questions. So these are rapid fire questions that don't totally matter, but for some reason as guitar players, we must know. Are you ready?
Yep.
What gauge pick do you use?
I use, let me grab one here. This one, the 1.0 Tortex Dunlop Standard.
1.0. Got it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's got a beautiful little signature on there too.
Yeah.
Okay. What gauge strings do you use?
Strings 10-46.
10 to 46.
Basically, yeah. Yeah. I mean, acoustic I use 11. So.
Okay. Yeah. What is your number one guitar currently?
Right now, my signature guitar, the Ibanez LB1. My main guitar, my number one, my favorite.
I'm going to ask you more about that later. What is your number one amp currently?
I have, several favorite, but I would choose the Lionheart, this blue one right here behind me. Lene Lionheart.
Finally, what is your favorite guitar pedal currently?
Pedal is difficult. I would say the JHS Morning Glory is the one that it's always on my pedal board. So
nice. We're going to move on now. I want to play a little game called Name Those Notes. So this concept is pretty simple. I'll play you a quick sequence of guitar notes from songs that you have recorded over the years, and you have to tell me what song these notes come from. So we're going to see how well you know your own guitar playing and talk about it in the midst of all these notes. It'll spur some conversation.
Oh my God. Okay.
You think you're going to do pretty good? What do you think?
I don't listen to my songs so much, so let's see.
Okay, we'll find out. A lot of people surprise themselves.
Let's see. I'm curious about myself. Let's see.
Okay, so we're going to start pretty simple, I think, that you'll get, and then we'll get progressively harder. So here is the first group of notes.
Okay, this is Not Alone. Yeah, that was easy.
Very good, yes. From your latest record, Far More.
Exactly.
Recorded with some true monster session players, might I add, like Vinnie Colaiuta and Nathan East. What is your strategy for going into the studio with people like that? Was everything notated? I noticed that in the video they were looking uh, at music. I didn't know if that was like lead sheets that they made for themselves. How much of it was your composition, and how much did you kind of like let them go?
When I write my songs, I think about everything, not only guitar parts. I think about bass, keyboards, drums, um, and because I want to like write a song. I mean, to serve the music as best as I can, and not only because I'm a guitar player, I'm more, throw out some notes and just think about the guitar. I like to make music, and think about this song as a whole.
Right.
Um, so I have pretty much um, uh, a formed idea of what I want the song to be.
Mm-hmm.
So what I always do, I do my demos here in my home studio, and for this specific project, we had some charts done, but only chords and like conventions, and but they got to listen like the demos that I did, so they could understand the concept and everything else, like right before we record each song.
Mm-hmm.
So they could like hear and make some notes that they would like to do in their own charts. But of course I gave them like freedom, for them to put their personality as well, as much as they wanted, because I mean they're legends, and I was so honored to have them. It was like a dream come true to have these guys recording with me.
Now, a lot of the melodies, I'm sure you had, especially with your demos, I'm sure you had a lot of the songs very specific, especially when you go into the studio, want to be very prepared. Were there any sections that you can cite or mention that were maybe a little more off the cuff improvised, or was everything note for note how you intended it?
A few things. I most of the things I like to write. I mean, here when I'm here, but of course, always there's something new that come up in the studio, and I mean, I go with it.
Yeah.
Because I want to be, I wanted to feel free as much as I can, but also most of those ideas that I have here when writing, they start from improvisations.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
So
I hear that. Well, it's an awesome album. I've listened to it.
Thank you.
Many times.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to move on to the next group of notes. You ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh yeah, that's the while my guitar gentle weeps. Yeah, my version of it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're going off the rails here a little bit into the YouTube world as well. So threw a little curveball there.
Okay, cool.
Very good. I had to include this because this is one of my favorite pieces of work that you've done, and I wanted to go a little deep on your process of arranging this version. I have two phrases here. It's the basically the hook, if you want to call it that, in two different ways that you play it. So I'm going to play them back to back, and then I have a question or two to ask you. So here's the first way that you play it. And then this way is the second time. So the same thing happening as far as the harmony, but you're doing so much in each version, you know, the simpler one that is more closer to the song, and then you're kind of going outside the box a tiny bit. Can you explain just, you know, succinctly what is going on there, how you were able to do that?
Sure. I almost didn't remember what I did because, as I told you, I do it, I record it, and it's so rare when I go back to listen to my stuff. It is so rare. I just can't.
Hmm.
I can't. You know.
Oh yeah. Well, get ready because we're about to go deep on some of your stuff.
Oh my gosh. So basically, I always think to build the song as it goes in terms of arrangement. So I try to start like as simple as possible, but with meaning,
Hmm.
trying to be meaningful as well. And I mean, second verse, I wanted to do like a variation
Yeah.
and try a little bit of different dynamics. So I go an octave higher and change the tempo and the time of the notes a little bit,
Hmm.
but nothing like too so out like this. You know, very simple changes, but I think it gives a different like sensation for the listener. So even like simple changes like that. So my goal ultimately is just like to build a song and for everyone that is listening to like feel that is building and, you know, telling a story
Right. Right.
with beginning, middle, and end. So
The interesting part in that second iteration that you play is the rhythm is still happening, the descending bass line. But since you're playing it solo guitar, you actually drop the bass note and the rhythm kind of, it's like a anticipation almost. Let me play it again. You'll hear what I'm
sure.
saying.
Mhm.
So that part, I just think there's so much to learn, from people trying to accompany themselves with that little moment there, because it's pretty daunting to just sit there on guitar and play a song like that in its full context. But it's also okay to play not at all sometimes, and then it makes it that much more effective. So
Absolutely.
I really liked when you did that.
Oh,
So
cool. Thank you.
next one here, getting a tiny bit harder, I think maybe.
Let's see.
Here we go.
Okay, that's a million words.
Yes, it is. That one's a little older. I think that was from
Yeah.
2016.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I think it's the very first version that I did for this song.
Yeah, and that is I found that from the site JamTrack Central,
Right.
which you did some work with in the earlier days, and that's actually how I found you,
Oh,
or
cool.
how I discovered you as a musician, and then a lot of guitar players I feel like that I've met now personally through the years, who I have great respect for. They started on JamTrack Central, or at least received some notoriety in that way through that outlet. Do you? How did you get involved with that? And do you ever like use that experience for anything that you do now, or what is your relationship with JamTrack Central these days? It's kind of like it's
Well,
sort of like the online Shrapnel. You know what I mean? Like there were artists on the Shrapnel label, and
yeah.
I feel like JamTrack Central is like the online YouTube Shrapnel label. I don't know if that association's quite right, but it feels like that to me.
So yeah, at that time I already had a couple records out, my first EP and my album The Sound of My Room, which is CD and DVD as well. And I was doing like a lot of videos and posting, my songs and videos playing my songs and everything else. And the great people at JTC reached out to me asking if I wanted to be on board with them and record some lessons, some licks.
Mhm.
And A Million Words was on one of the songs. I think that was the video that they found me.
Mm.
It was through that video actually, and we ended up doing like a lesson on that song as well. But yeah, I have a bunch of stuff with JTC. So I have a couple master classes, finger picking master class, another master class on creating riffs and melodies, and I teach some of my songs like a million words, new time. So yeah, I'm grateful to JTC for sure, because at the time I really felt that they exposed me to a whole, new new public. So
Hmm.
I mean, I'm grateful. It's an honor to be working with them.
Yeah, a lot of Ibanez signature Ibanez artists came out of that little group.
Right? That's true. Yeah.
Ibanez was picking them off. The Ibanez guys were just watching JTC channel, just like, hey, there we go. Let's get them. Okay, cool. Well, that's fun. Fun context here. We're gonna move on to another batch of notes. I think you may recognize this. We'll find out.
Oh my God. Of course, that's your song.
Yes.
With my guest solo. Yeah.
Reverie, yes. That is
Awesome.
That was such an awesome guitar solo that you played, and I'm really glad you took the time to do that, because now it's ingrained in history.
Yes.
We have that.
Yes.
And one thing that's interesting that you do that I've honestly been in the back of my mind always looking out for this, because I teach this a different way, and there's no right or wrong way to play guitar. Whatever works for you works. But you are literally the only guitar player I've ever seen who bends the G string downward toward the floor. And I'm always like, all right, E string, B string, G string go up, the other ones go down. That's the way mechanics work on the guitar. That's the ergonomics of it. But you bend it down, and you do bend it up as well. Like in the lick, which I put in here, that's you bending the G string down, 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 up. So what's going on with you? Like, is that just a quirk with your playing? I mean, obviously I'm not criticizing you, but I've literally never seen anyone else do it that way. Are you aware of this at all, or am I just crazy?
I am aware, but I think I became aware when someone told me,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, when I saw someone commenting, oh, you're the first one that I see doing this, because it was always so natural, very natural to me. I mean, there's no explanation, because
Yeah, it's just magic in the hands.
it just happens. It just happens.
Yeah, and that's not to say like with vibrato, like I'll bend it down, up, down, like with my index finger or something. But like these are real bends that you're doing, and you're pulling down. Anyway, yeah, it's great.
But I might think depending on where I am in certain song, maybe it's a more comfortable position for me to bend and have like a better vibrato or something like that. If I stop to analyze, that might be one conclusion. I guess. I'm guessing.
I've tried doing it. I'm like, she's bending down, and I try and do it, and I either like go a little flat or sharp. I'm just like, all right, it's not for me. I'm too late to the party, the downward G string bending party. So, and one other aside about our song that we recorded there, you and I both wipe our hand off before we start to go in on a solo. Like
that's amazing.
And we didn't communicate, be like, hey, Lari, so wipe your hand right before you get started. I'm going to do the same thing. It's going to be like, we didn't plan that. I don't know. I've seen other guitar players do that. Like, it's kind of like it's sort of like flipping your hair, maybe. I don't know what it is, but
it worked.
Yeah,
it worked.
It was gold. So,
and by the way, that's a great song, Tyler. I love this opening riff. It's amazing. It's pure gold. I love it. Congrats, and thanks for having me. I was so glad that we could collaborate on it. Thank you.
Of course, literally the pleasure is all mine. So thank you for taking part in that. I got one more group of notes here. And this one's gonna be fun. Here we go.
Yes, that's the latest single, Sunny Days.
Light speed right there. I thought I might be able to get you there with no context, but I have to play that full lick because it's one of my favorites you've done. Here we go. So sweet.
Cool. Glad you liked it.
This is a song that you composed, I think, for your signature guitar release. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. Actually, when I got the sample, I just got inspired, and this song, came, and I wrote it. I finished, and let's release like with the guitar.
Right. It's got such a happy. I just got a signature guitar chorus. It's
exactly how I felt.
Yeah, it does a really good job conveying that joy and all your different skill sets. The bends, the techniques, and the melodic sense. It's all kind of right there. As a guitar player, watching that video and listening, it seems like the most fun thing ever to film. You looked like you were really having a good time there. What was that like to be kind of in your own little set?
Well, it's awesome. I always have like a great time filming here or whatever. I mean, it's always, we can even call this a job because we love it so much. It is a job. I love my job, but it is fun like all the time. So it's amazing. We're blessed.
The LB1, does that mean there's going to be like an LB2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 12? I don't know.
Well, I hope so. Yeah.
So that's the name of your signature Ibanez. And how many times did you practice your autograph before you chose the one that would be on the guitar?
Not so much. I tried. Yeah, I tried a couple times. A couple.
You're like, how's the L gonna look in this way? Let me try it like this.
Yeah, my challenge was to do a little bit more like straight because it was like too, it was not aligned in the way that I wanted. Right. But yeah, I think we got a cool one. Yeah.
So what's great about your guitar compared to all the other ones you've played? Because you've been playing guitar for your whole life, it seems like. Why is this one the best one in your eyes?
I mean, this guitar is the most versatile guitar that I've ever played. And let me see if I can show the signature.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, it's.
I see it.
So yeah, I mean, versatility for me is a very important point in everything that I do. And I think we achieved an amazing result here with Ibanez and also with my signature pickups from Seymour Duncan. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, this guitar has it all. Everything I need, everything I love, and I'm really happy with this result right here.
And if you pick it up, what is your go-to tone? Where's the pickup selector switch? Where's the volume tone? Where is it?
I would go with the neck pickup and all the way, volume and tone all the way up.
Neck pickup, okay. The lipstick pickup. Why? Yeah. Is there a specific name for that purple color?
Violet. Yeah, Violet. We decided to call it Violet because of the lipstick first, and now nails, and
Yeah. That is really an awesome looking guitar. It's sort of like a T style but modernized.
Exactly, yeah.
I don't really know what. Oh, that's and the classic Ibanez bolt-on.
Yes. It has all the curves, all the comfort cuts. It feels It's very comfortable, very comfortable.
What is the first note? Have you played live yet? Like, is it? I know things haven't quite opened up yet, but like, have you? Do you have any shows on the books, or what is? What's it looking like right now?
Not yet. I haven't played with this guitar live yet, and I
Mm-hmm.
just can't wait. You have no idea. But yeah, hopefully I can get to a stage, very soon and put this beauty to work live.
What will be the first note that you play? Do you think?
The first note?
Yeah, will it be like a 15 bend to the 17 on the B string, like massive sustain? Will it be a power chord? Will
I
it
think
be
would be I would play like a pentatonic, C minor pentatonic. Oh, B minor pentatonic.
B minor pentatonic? Okay,
Yeah.
great. Keep that in your back pocket. I can't wait to hear it. And speaking of stage, you have played on stage with some really amazing musicians, many of whom have been on this podcast, in fact. What would you say is one of your favorite stories from playing live on stage?
That's a hard one. We have so many stories, and I don't know, the feeling of playing live, like there's nothing like it. For me, it's the best feeling, that adrenaline just before you hit the stage, and uh, the exchange that you have with the audience is something so unique. I think nothing can replace live music in our lives. So this is something that I'm really looking forward to, coming back to live shows and interacting live with everyone again. So I can't wait.
Are you an indoor? You prefer indoor or outdoor? Wind blowing through your hair, sunglasses outside, or inside? Massive lights, leather jackets. What is your preference?
I like both. I can choose. I really can.
You have to pick one.
Oh my gosh, this is hard. Indoors.
Indoors. Okay.
Yeah.
Indoors. Okay. Yeah. I honestly, I like indoors too, because sometimes outdoors, you never know what's going to happen with the elements.
Yeah.
Maybe something,
That's true.
maybe you're a little hot. Maybe it's cold. Have you ever played when it's really cold outside?
No, I haven't. Yeah,
I
but
don't recommend it. I don't recommend it. Your hands get all freezing. Although if it, depending on what kind of music you're playing, then maybe you can generate enough like body heat to keep warm. But yeah, inside a controlled environment, I think I'm there with you.
cool.
And so you post on YouTube and Instagram pretty frequently, and that's been a major part of gain exposure to accomplish your musical aspirations. Do you see yourself continuing on social media with the consistency you have now, or do you see it slowing down, or like going even harder, grinding even harder on it? I ask you because I often wonder, like, I wonder how long I'm gonna keep pressing publish. Do you have
Yeah.
any thoughts about that?
Um, I want to be present online.
Yeah.
That's this is something that I always planned. I mean, social media for me was always a great tool of support to support my work, because for me my goal was always like, okay, I have to have my albums. I wanna show everyone my musical personality, my artistry, and I think this everything I can do it through my albums.
Mm-hmm.
And I use the platforms and videos like to support my albums, and that's what I'm planning like to do always. But yeah, sometimes I wonder that as well, because it is something, yeah, really hard to do, like in like consistent.
Yeah.
And I don't know for how long,
Yeah.
but I think I'm always trying to be like present and like to create great content and make new music for everyone.
I got you. So What is something you've never been asked in an interview that you always hope to be asked, but nobody ever asks you? Is there anything?
Oh, that's a good one. I don't know. Let me see. Well, just like very few people know that I had I went to law school in Brazil. So when I mean I have take answered this question before, but
Hmm.
it's very like
Under the radar, yeah.
yes, exactly.
Did you say
So yeah,
law
well,
school?
yeah, I went to law school in Brazil. Yeah.
So you're a lawyer.
Yes, exactly. I took the bar in Brazil and I practiced for um, about a year, I guess. Yeah.
Wow. And what obviously you still have those skills. Is there a reason? I mean, I assume you were like a lawyer. Well, I was going to say a lawyer by night, guitar player in the day, or lawyer by day, cuz lawyers work all hours as well. So maybe it's like a good second job for a musician, I guess. Like when were you spending more time reading books or playing guitar?
I mean, during college, I think I spent more time reading books for sure, but I never stopped playing. I had like a band, and I always like studying. If I had like 30 minutes in my day, I would like do my best in that 30 minutes to try to improve in something and do something new on the guitar. But during college it was a challenge for sure. And but after, I mean, I at some point I could dedicate myself to the guitar, and I went and recorded my first EP. So things started like to take off in the guitar world for me. So I had to choose
Mm.
one another, and for me it was very easy to choose.
Yeah, that's a good choice you made. So Brazil, how long were you in Brazil before you came to the United States?
Born and raised in São Paulo, Brazil. So I moved to the States 4 years ago. So I was 28 when I moved here. So
4 years
I'm,
ago. Huh.
yeah.
So did you post any videos while you were in Brazil, or did that start like right when you got to the US?
No, no, I was doing a lot of videos in Brazil. I did so many tours with some Brazilian artists as
Okay.
well as a side woman.
Right.
I did my own tour, workshops, guitar clinics in Brazil. I actually opened clinics there for Andy Timmons and Paul Gilbert in Brazil. So yeah, I did a bunch of stuff in Brazil, and I came here like to expand my work because I felt through the internet and to my videos and stuff that it was, I mean, it was a time for me to take that step.
I'm trying to think of other Brazilian guitar players who I there was one guy that I remember watching. His name was Gustavo Guerra. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
yeah,
he's
yeah.
Brazilian. But he's the only other person I can remember. I'm sure there are more that I'm forgetting. Don't get mad at me, everybody. But that's just the person like you and that guy are the two people that I think of when I think Brazilian guitarist. But you don't necessarily like what would you classify native Brazilian music? Is there any sort of genre that you like came up on, or was it always this kind of rock instrumental stuff?
I was always this kind of style, but we have a lot of native genres in Brazil uh, that I didn't like. Uh, I never like wanted to study it so like profound,
Mm.
but I mean it is so beautiful. The Brazilian music, you know, bossa nova, samba.
Right.
What else? We have very specific style of country music in Brazil that is awesome too. So yeah, we have, I mean, tons of different genres, but yeah, my style is is it's not so Brazilian. I could say
No,
that.
I dig it, but yeah, you're sort of Andy Timmons, I know you've mentioned him a few times. He was just on the podcast, actually. I think I
Ooh.
wore your sweatshirt, actually, now that I think
Oh,
about it.
really?
The California Waves one. I think I was
Yeah.
wearing that one. I should have
Oh,
asked him
cool.
about. I just like put two and two together, but yeah, you have certainly some influence in that very melodic shred. Maybe like a pinch of Joe Satriani over here. Who are some other influences that I'm missing from you?
I mean, definitely Joe Satriani, Andy Timmons. I mean, they're fantastic. Steve Vai as well. I think this Ibanez generation for me, growing up, I mean, they were like my huge influences for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I also love John Mayer very much, Rich Kotzen as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are a lot of guys. Steve Lukather, so many. So
It's funny. I unintentionally have had all Ibanez artists on this season of Guitar Villains. It's been
wow.
Steve Vai, Yvette Young, Andy Timmons, you, Paul Gilbert, which by the time this episode is out, his will be out. And I'm trying to think there will probably be more. It's the Ibanez show, basically, is what I should call this. Have you always played Ibanez guitar? I mean, I know you had like a Sir at some point. What drew you to Ibanez for this iteration?
I always wanted to have an Ibanez.
Yeah.
But I mean, growing up in Brazil, guitars are so expensive there. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it was hard for me to like when I bought my first guitar. It was like a very cheap guitar, and but before that, I had like my little brother had a guitar before me, and he was kind enough to like let me borrow his guitar for me to play. So it was not easy, but of course, I always knew about Ibanez and the artists that played Ibanez. I mean, a legendary company. And when I moved here, I had the chance like to be closer to them, and they present me the AZ series guitars.
Oh, those are
And
great. Yeah.
yeah, so it was a guitar that really caught my attention. I loved it. Very well built, very versatile. And as we became closer, they presented me a new project that they were working on at the time. There was the AZS model, and I really thought that could be a great like project for me to base my signature guitar, my dream guitar on. So yeah, we did it.
That's awesome. Now, how often do you play acoustic versus electric? Because your signatures and electric guitar. Some of my favorite work that you've done that I've got to see is acoustic, but I know it's, sometimes as mainly an electric player, you're like, I'm not gonna pick up the acoustic today. I'm gonna do something a little easier on the old fingers here. Do you ever find yourself thinking of the acoustic that way, or is that just me? I'm just being lazy.
I mean, yeah, I play electric most of the time, but I love playing acoustic as well. But I mean, I have to play more. I have to like force myself to play more because otherwise it would be like electric. I mean, electric 80% of the time, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. I did an acoustic curriculum for my learning platform, and it was just 3 straight weeks of acoustic playing, and I was like, when I went back to the electric, I was like, ooh, let's go. I was bending 3 whole steps at will.
Wow.
But that was with
Awesome.
7 grade strings. Anyway, so I want to ask you, as we wind down here, Lari, I want to ask you to loop in a little bit of supervillainy here. Your Poison Ivy doppelganger. I have one final question. What do you believe about the guitar that most guitar players might think is crazy? And this could be like a hard truth the guitar players need to hear, or something that you know that others don't. And I know you seem like just the most nice person in the entire world. You're always smiling. You're always so happy. You can be a little mean if you want to. Let us know what we need to know and spare nobody's feelings if you want.
Yeah, but it's hard. Let's see. Well, a lot of people might agree with me, but or not. I don't know, but I think you don't have like to know a lot of theory to be a good player or to be a good songwriter, you know?
This is great. I forgot to ask you where is your theory level of understanding? Are you like a scale memorizer? Are you like a total Frank Zappa theorist? Are you none of those? Where are you at? You seem like you know everything. Like I said at the very beginning, you seem like you know it all. So I'm just wondering.
I wish. But no, yeah, I know everything. What I'm doing. I think it's important. I'm not saying that theory is not important. It is. It is great, and it's a great, let's say, resource for you when you know you have no ideas. You're blocked somehow. You can't like, let's do something. Let's think about what I'm doing right here. I think it's a great resource. But for me, when I'm writing, I don't rely 100% on theory. It's mostly ear and feeling.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know, yeah, it's basically that. But I think it's important. But I don't think the fact that you think you don't know much. If you don't know much, it doesn't mean that you won't be able to write a good song, play well your instrument. You know, yeah, I think that's it.
Well, I would tend to agree. And you know who else says that? Victor Wooten, and he also knows what he's talking about. And I think Steve Vai said something similar. So, yeah, it seems to be a trend among great guitar players that although it's a nice tool to have, you don't need it. And I think people can be intimidated by the lack of knowledge that they have, even though there is no lack of knowledge when it comes to music. It's just what you feel and what you can hear. At the end of the day, that's usually the thing that you should be listening to guide your creative process. So totally agree with you.
Yes. Awesome.
So
exactly.
Lari, as we wind down here, I'd like to thank you for taking your time to be on Guitar Villains today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
It's been a great honor to finally chat with you face to face, Zoom to Zoom.
Yeah.
We'll do this in person one day down the line, and I will look forward to what treacherous plots you devise next in your musical endeavors.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm preparing a lot of things, new music, and I can't wait to share more. Thank you, Tyler, for having me. I'm a fan of yours. Keep shredding.
We shall.